They're a noisy bunch. Woo! I like that. Who was that? Boy. She's ready. She's more awake than the rest of you. Well, how are you? Good. Ah, you're awake. Hot? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, I try not to complain too much about it because it gets worse. I've seen all 4 seasons in 1 hour. Well, he told you who I was. He did. Ain't Annie Oakley.
No.
Well, I'm God, you folks are way more with it than the ones yesterday. Of course, I wasn't here. I was at a wedding yesterday.
Yours?
Yeah, they had fun, but well, I'm Calamity Jane, and a lot of folks will come up here and say, "Hey, Annie." Nope, got the wrong place. But I won't go into that since you folks are better than them last week and at the wedding too. Well, I bet you're wondering how I got that name. You heard of me, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, what have you heard?
Everywhere you go, there's a calamity.
Well, now you see why I showed up. I didn't want to. I had to set you straight. Well, a lot of folks say that. Say, oh, well, she causes calamity. No, no. I got that name because I was doing scouting with the fella. I was riding up ahead of him about a quarter mile there with my horse. And I turned back around. He's all shot up back there. He's slipping out of his stirrup. And I get him up on my horse just in time. He could have been drugged to death. And we ride like hell back there to the fort. And when he come to, he looked up at me and he said, "You're an angel." Well, we know that ain't true, and I tried to tell him. I said, "I'm no angel." "Are you an angel?" "Me neither." Well, and I told him who I was. I was Martha Jane Canary. And he said, "Well, Martha Jane, you're sure handy to have around in a calamity." See, that was a problem. He had one. I mean, he was slipping out of the stirrup, had an arrow right through his backside. You ever had that? Well, he did. And when we took that out, boy, he come too fast. Well, it turns out that fella, well, he was a captain. Fancy that. I mean, I thought he was just a fella. When you're in the army sometimes, and maybe 5 of you know this, maybe you're sissies, I don't know. But when you're in the army, sometimes it's a good idea to follow orders. And so I did that particular day. It turned into working out for me because he said from that day forward, he was going to call me Calamity Jane, heroine of the plains. Well, that's better than some things they call me. What about you? Well, that's what I thought. Boy, you got to be careful because it just stuck. You know, and from that day forward, there was no Martha Jane. It was Calamity then. Well, and that's fine because you got to be careful what kind of name you get stuck with. Like you said, you've been called worse. There was a fellow, White-Eyed Anderson, up here for a while. He was blacksmithing there, and he caught a hot poker on his eye on accident. God, I don't know why you do that on purpose. I hope it was an accident. And he had to run around the rest of his life with a white eyebrow like that fellow back there. Don't look at him. God, I don't know what I'm talking about. He wasn't paying any attention. He had a white eyebrow, and everyone knew him as White-Eyed Anderson then. I mean, you got to be real careful what kind of name you get stuck with. Because sometimes it just sticks. Well, that was long before I got to Deadwood Camp like you folks got here today. You don't come alone, do you? No, you come in groups. You travel in groups. It's dangerous. There's rustlers and thieves and natives, and well, if they don't get you, the elements will. So, well, you come together on wagon trains, you know, and well, we left out of Missouri. You been there? Yeah, well, there wasn't nothing there. After the Great War, I mean, my God, nobody had anything anymore. The money didn't have any value, especially if you was from the South. But there was one thing that had value, and it wasn't this guy. It was gold. Gold had value. And so, well, we went up to Virginia City, Montana Territory. You been there?
Yep.
Yeah.
There ain't no gold there.
Nope.
We didn't find any. We wasn't up there real long, and my ma died. Blackfoot City. So we left and went down to Utah for a while, and we was there a little longer then, but my pa died. You're supposed to say, "Aww." Well, now what am I gonna do? That's nice, your condolences, but I got 5 brothers and sisters all looking up at me. They got the same eyes. Now don't smile. They had the same eyes he had there on him. Hungry eyes. They wanted some ice cream. I mean, don't you? You don't want any? I'll have yours, don't worry. Wyatt Earp, that was his favorite food. We had flavors, we ain't that old. Well, so now what am I gonna do? Well, I went around to the mining and the railroad camps and I got busy, like you folks do. Don't you do just about anything you need to for your family? Don't you get pizzas and eat it in front of them? Well, I do too, but not then, because they was young, and they needed somebody to take care of them. So I did for a while, went around to the mining and railroad camp. Now them boys, they knew how to work hard, play hard, and drink hard, and cuss hard. And I liked that. So I started to do whatever needed to be done. I mean, you could do some laundry. Some of you ought to. You could do some sewing, or you could cook, or anything that needed done. I mean, them boys they was working so hard, and I did that for a while, and then I started to think about it. This is boring. I want to have an adventure, don't you? Okay, I'm glad there's 3 of you. We want to have an adventure. We want to make your own dang biscuits. We want to see everything there is. So this fella told me, well, you can do some scouting. Well, you can do scouting. $20 a month. I mean, that's pretty good money. Would you do it? That's $20. You would? You'd do about anything for $20, wouldn't you? I'd like it. Because I did too. I mean, you gotta make yourself useful, don't you? Or you'll get left behind. Well, I did a little scouting. I scouted with Custer and Crook and Sheridan. You heard of them fellas?
Yep.
All of them?
Yep.
God, you folks are intelligent. Come back the whole rest of the summer. You should see what I'm studying. Well, Crook was a ruthless son of a gun. See, I bet you think that the first scalping was done by a native to a white man. No, it wasn't. See, the second scalping was the course of retaliation that the native did back. You do it to me, I'll do it back. It happened down in Arkansas. Well, that explains it. Well, Custer, you've heard of General Custer, haven't you? Yeah. Yellow hair. Well, he was, he flunked out of West Point, so he got a promotion. That's the way that works. And he took an expedition out, 110 wagons. I mean, that's a lot. And he went out there and come down here and over there, and he found something just south of here. And it wasn't a fire like what we got going on now. No, he found gold. Well, the word got out. There's gold in them hills. And they just come in droves, just like all of you. You couldn't stop them. You insult them, and they just keep coming. They built up hotels and saloons and hurdy-gurdy houses in Custer City. That makes sense, don't it? Well, just as soon as they come, then the government, they started to think. Every now and then they do that. They started to think. See, they'd given all this land away. From the Big Horn Mountains all the way over to the Missouri River. And then, Custer found that color and they got to thinking, maybe we gave them too much. We don't know what's out there. And so they sent Custer and his men out that way. And, well, then they started to think we better send out another expedition, you know, that doesn't look so military, see? And that was the Jenny expedition. 2 scientists, Newt and Jenny, and a general, 400 soldiers, and 2 geologists. That's very interesting. Because they took Custer's route for a while, but then they got off the beaten path and come down here through the gulch. Not one soul was here. Nobody. There was nobody here. And, well, the cattle got so fat the first month that Jenny expedition was out here in the hills that they had to write back about that. I mean, God, that's pretty good. And look at what we got. We got all this timber. You can make cabins and forts out of it. Really, if you could do that, that'd be great. Because I could use some help. And then we got the bluest skies in all the territories, and we got good resources and waterfalls, and well, we've got plenty of water. Take that, California. We've got just about anything you need. And they thought, well, that's pretty good. Found a little bit of color, but nothing like what they had reported with Custer and his boys. Well, I was with that expedition. It made me the 3rd woman in the Black Hills. The 3rd girl. You like that? Well, I liked it too, except they didn't know it. No, because they didn't want gals to serve. They told us to stay at home and make their biscuits. You make your own dang biscuits. Like I said, I want to have an adventure. We want to see what there is to see. The rest of the gals did too, but see, maybe they didn't have the guts. I don't know. But if you don't like it, you'll get glad in the same pace you get mad in. I've already got them all. I'm not changing. You know, you make yourself useful. You get up there and do a little bull whacking. That's what this is for. They said, keep it on your hip, Jane. You hit one kid in the crowd and it hurts. Oh, you run away. Well, you get up on that wagon there and you tie 8 or 10 pairs of them together. Bulls or ox. Have you ever seen them? Yeah, don't have a showdown with them, boy. But, well, they could haul about 8 to 10,000 pounds. I mean, that's all of you. Except that kid there. I mean, that's quite a bit. And everything you're going to need, you better bring it with you. Because there wasn't nothing out here, see? You bring your flour, and, well, you better bring some clothes. Please bring some clothes. And you better have all your gunpowder with you, and your sluice boxes, and your pickaxes, and your whiskey, and your chamber pots, and your whiskey. I mean, anything that you're going to need, you better bring it with you. And so we did. You know, and somebody had to be in charge of all that. Well, you can get up on that stage, and I won't do it because you're sitting there. I'm a good shot, I'll tell you. And you crack that whip. You crack it. And it sounds just like a gun going off. And them bulls know then that you're the boss, and I'm the boss. And they know, and you cuss at them. I mean, you gotta be loud. You gotta be in charge. And I am. And so, well, if you crack it out straight ahead there, it goes out about 20 foot. And then they know which, you know, to go. They hear it and they know if you're any good now. Straight ahead means go ahead there, bull. And off to here means this way, and the same with over here. It's called a turn signal. I invented that. Gotta try using it while you're here. I mean, you could do bull whacking, mule skinning. Now, a good mule skinner could skin the hide right off the back of a mule with one crack of the whip. But I didn't like none of that being mean to animals, so you better not let me see it today. I'll shoot you right where you stand. I don't care where you're from. Well, come back through on a wagon train. About a year after that Jenny expedition, see? Custer, he took 260 of his boys and rode out to Montana Territory, June 25th. I was riding out to meet him, but I crossed the river, got sick as a dog. When I come to, I'd heard that Custer taking his last stand out there. 261 of them, they scalped him. And they scattered their guts all over the plains. And they cut his brother Tom's heart right out of his chest. Still beat. When I come to there at the hospital, I heard what happened and he'd taken his last stand. I was pretty glad I wasn't with him then. So I rode out to Deadwood here after that Jenny expedition, and there was a few changes, see? 10,000 of them. 10,000 people were in the gulch 1 year later. And along with that was just a few problems, most of which was being a death a day. A murder a day is the average here in Deadwood. So enjoy your stay. Now you can be over on this side or over on that side of the thoroughfare there, but don't be out in the middle there. You know, they'll shoot you. They don't mean to, but you gotta listen around here. You know, if you're wondering where the creek is, where all the mining's done, I'm done. I'm still yakking, but they can go. I mean,
Well, howdy, folks.